Hey everyone, welcome back. Professor Hank here. So today we're going to talk about Python tuples. So let's go ahead and dig right in. So first things first, what's a tuple? Tuple is like a list in that it's a container that you can use to store related pieces of data, but unlike a list, it is immutable. Immutable. So once you create a tuple, it's done. You can't change it. Now, a tuple is a sequence type. Therefore, we can use functions such as len. We can use sum on it. We can also use indexing. So the individual elements within a tuple we can access by using their index number. And so how do we create a tuple? So if I had some set of values that I wanted to have around that I could guarantee would never change, I could use a tuple to do that. So I might have something like, I don't know, we'll call it nums. And let's say that I wanted to store 8, 6, and 7. I want to make sure that those numbers are around forever. They're never going to change. Then I'm going to use parentheses to do that. And I'm going to place inside of those parentheses the value that I want to keep. So nums is going to refer to this tuple 867. And I can print that by passing it as an argument to the print function. And then you'll see that it displays my tuple. Now I can also access those individual elements. So let's say that I want to do print and I want to print out, say, the second element of my tuple. Then I could do nums and then use my indexing, place a 1 there because that's the second element, and then close my print statement there. And if I print it out, you can see that there's 6. Now it's immutable, so I can't change it. If this was a list, then I could do something like this. I could say nums of 1 equals 4. So let's say I wanted to change that second value in a list. I can do this, but in Python, I can't. So tuple object does not support item assignment. So tuples cannot be changed, but we can, use some of those other functions. So if I want to show the length of my tuple, for example, I could do something like, the length of my tuple. I can call that len function and I can pass the name of the tuple as an argument to it. And you're going to see that it shows us the 3 there. I could also do my sum function. So I could do, print the sum of my tuple, and then I could do sum and then put nums in there, close that, and then that's going to add up all the values in my tuple. I could also find the min of my tuple. So I could do something like the min of my tuple and then pass that tuple to the min function. I could do max also. So do print max of my tuple, and then call the max function, and just fine, right? Because it is a sequence type, so we can do that just like we could with a list. So the min of the tuple is 6, the max is 8 because that's the smallest number, that's the biggest. Tuples are also great when you want to store ordered sets of values, right? So you might, for example, have longitude and latitude, and those orders matter, and you don't want to get those mixed up. And so you might do something like chords equals, and then maybe the longitude is your first number. So I'll just make something up, 13.1234556, and then the other coordinate, if we're doing longitude and latitude, so maybe the first is going to be longitude. So I'll make a little note there. So longitude, and then the second you're thinking is going to be your latitude for whatever reason. So maybe that is 55.467. So those values could represent some point, maybe your house or some landmark or something like that. And you don't ever want those to change as your program's running. And you got to make sure that longitude is first, latitude is second, whatever the order matters, then you're going to have those locked in forever. And then you can just print those out as you need them, right? So I could do something like print f longitude, and then I can do my chords 0, and then latitude, maybe I do latitude chords 1. And then close that string and then run it. So then you can see there's the longitude and then there's the latitude. So these are constant values that you wouldn't want to change in a particular scenario. Alternatively, we've got this other type of a tuple called a named tuple. And to use a named tuple, we have to do an import statement. So what we would do is we would do something like this. From collections. So in the collections module, there is this item called a named tuple. So we're going to do named tuple. And what that allows us to do is to replace the indexing that we've been using so far. So instead of using 0, 1, 2, 3 for accessing individual elements of the tuple, we can use names. So what we'll do is we will create our variable. So let's say something like foo, and then we'll assign to it named tuple. Named tuple is basically a function that's going to create our named tuple for us. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to specify the name that we're going to refer to it by. So in this case, we're going to do foo. And then we're going to put a list as the second argument, and that's going to keep track of all of the different names we're going to use instead of indexes. So maybe I'll do something like 1, and then we'll do 2, and then we'll do 3. So our named tuple can only ever hold 3 values. And so then once we've set that up, then we can do something like this. We can create a variable. Let's call it bar. And then we're going to use foo, because that's the name that we're specifying here. And then we're going to place inside of parentheses the values that we actually want to store. So maybe we want to store 8, and then we want to store 6, and then maybe we want to store a string. So maybe we'll do, spam. So when we do that, now we can refer to our tuple by using the string 1, which will refer to the 8 here, the first element, string 2, which will refer to the second element, and then the string 3, which will refer to that last element. So let's print that out just so we can see it working. So we will do print, and then use a F string here to do this. And we'll just do something like first element is, and then I will place inside my curly braces here, bar, and then dot 1. And then let's go ahead and close our string and our print statement. So then if I run this, you're going to see the first element is 8, right? So now I can refer to this first element instead of bar and then using the square brackets and a 0. I can just say, bar 1. Then I can do, the second element, bar 2, dot 2, and then third element is bar 3. So this is kind of neat. It gives us something that's a little bit more descriptive than just using bar 0, bar 1, bar 2, in the square brackets. We can just actually spell out the individual pieces. So you can see there's the contents of the elements. Maybe a even more useful example would be if we maybe came up with something for a vehicle. Maybe we have a vehicle and we're doing named tuple, and then we're going to call our tuple by the name vehicle. And then maybe we do something like, speed. We might have speed might be one attribute of our vehicle. Maybe number of doors might be another attribute, and maybe another one is price, say. And so then that allows us to do something that's a lot more expressive. So then I can say, all right, well, then a motorcycle is a vehicle, and its top speed is going to be, 185 miles per hour. And then the number of doors is going to be 0. And then maybe the price for this is 15 or 14,000, right? And so now when I want to access those different values, then I can do that, right? I can do print, and I'll say something like the price is, and then I could do in my F string here, motorcycle dot price. And then let's say that I want to format that. So I want to use commas, and I want to have 2 decimal places of precision. I'll close my F string and my print statement. And then when we run that, you're going to see that the price is $14,000, right? So that gives us something that's a little bit more expressive than just doing something like motorcycle, and the price was the third element of our tuple, right? So it's a lot more expressive or easier to read motorcycle.price than motorcycle square brackets 2. So kind of neat. So that is everything that I have for you in this video. As usual, if you're a student of mine, have questions about the content in this video or any of the other videos in our courses, feel free to send me an email via Canvas or stop by our online Zoom office hours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.